Hello everyone, recently I've been notified of a new entry into the cheap dress watch genre by an AliExpress notification, and me being a massive advocate and fan of Breguet watches in general, it felt like a beautiful lady had winked at me from across a cafe. It was a slight sense of shock and wonder, both of which ended up with me losing money. This new release from Escapement Time is making an homage to the Breguet Classique, with the Breguet having similar features on its watch with an added function of a small seconds, my favorite being the reference 5140. Breguet is one of the most highly regarded watchmakers of our time, founded more than 200 years ago by Abraham Louis Breguet in 1775. Breguet, in the modern age, is known for their beautifully made guilloche dials, blued hands, skeletonized complications, and most importantly, the tourbillon. The tourbillon is an amazing feat of watchmaking at the time, effectively increasing the accuracy of pocket watches by negating the effects of gravity on the balance wheel of a watch. This is done by rotating the balance wheel slightly every single time the balance wheel pulses back and forth. A full rotation is usually done in around a minute, which means that in a minute, the balance wheel fully rotates around its central axis, allowing gravity to have a pull on the balance wheel in every direction, causing the forces on the wheel to be in equilibrium. Today, the tourbillon is ultimately useless, but is instead respected as a sign of watchmaking pedigree, with the likes of Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, and Breguet having the most stunning versions of it, in my opinion. Anyway, now that that's out of the way, let's get into the measly $65 Escapement Time homage of the Breguet Classique. The watch that sits before me comes in at a diameter of 38.7mm, not including the crown, a lug-to-lug of 45mm and a thickness of just 8.1. This allows the watch to sit very comfortably on my wrist of 8 inches and fits just right, albeit a tad bit small. This watch should look good on wrist sizes ranging from 8 to 6.5 inches and may fit even 6-inch wrists pretty well. The watch is made out of stainless steel and features a large piece of sapphire crystal displaying the shimmering dial sitting in the case. The watch also has a claimed water resistance of 50 meters. One of the more impressive things about this piece is actually the hands. Both the hour hand and minute hand on this Escapement Time are blued. Blued hands are heat treated, they require extreme levels of heat and are quite time consuming and difficult to produce. In the process, just a slight difference in temperature in different parts of the hands can cause the blue color to be extremely uneven and look terrible. Most of the time, watches around this price range don't come with blued hands, but instead usually come with blue hands, which are coated blue and look quite bad. Besides all this, the watch comes with a cheap emery Epsom leather styled strap with a stainless steel buckle at the end to top it all off. With the watch being only 8.1mm thin, it was expected that it would feel quite light on hand, and it most definitely does, almost to the point of feeling a little cheap at times. But hey, Richard Mille made the lightest automatic watch in the world, but nobody is complaining about its $400,000 price tag. Besides being a bit light, the watch does feel like it is built significantly well. The case is very finely mirror polished and is ribbed, just like the case of the Breguet Classique. Despite this, the ribbed section has no sharp edges and matches very well with the domed polished bezel, giving the watch an interesting uniform shine under light. The crown on the watch is a very solid pull-out crown that allows you to set the time on the Minuter 2025 quartz movement pulsing away inside the watch. The drilled lugs are thin, just like the ones on the Breguet Classique, and in my opinion fit the styling of the watch really well. The only downsides about this watch that I'd like to point out is the really thin and light caseback and the cheaper strap. The caseback on the watch is thin, possibly to keep the thickness of this piece to a minimum, but on the downside of this, it makes the whole watch lighter and also makes the caseback feel a bit plasticky. I feel that if Escapement Time could have increased the thickness of this caseback just by a little, it would greatly improve the on-hand feel of this watch. Besides that, the round brushed caseback is etched with Escapement Time and the brand's name in Chinese letters. The strap that comes with this watch is a cheap emery Epsom style leather strap with a solid stainless steel buckle attached to the end. Judging by the inner side of the strap, it seems to be made by the same manufacturer that made the strap for Escapement Time's King Seiko Homage, but this time I feel they did a slightly better job at it. The beige emery strap on this watch is actually very comfortable on the wrist and is flexible unlike some of the other cheap straps at this price. The strap also comes with very well made and thick spring bars that you don't really see on other watches at this price range. Too bad it may be the wrong size for the holes in the lugs, because they do shift if you move the strap about. But all in all, despite the comfort that this strap provides, it most likely won't last longer than a year of daily wear, so be prepared to swap it out in time to come. The movement sitting in this watch is a rather simple Miyota 2025. It's not super expensive and is widely available, making it easy to replace if anything ever goes wrong. Adding on the fact that this watch has no seconds hand and the "oh world-ending" tick that most quartz watches are known for will not be as visible. Besides all that, the movement has an accuracy of plus or minus 20 seconds a month and has a battery life of 3 years. This compromise in movement quality makes the watch just a little cheaper than Escapement Time's most popular King Sager Homage with a VH31, and also gives it the feature that I absolutely love, the dial and the hands. The dial and handset on this watch was what made me pull the trigger in the first place. Obviously I did check the movement type that came with it and so on, but all in all, this was the main culprit of my purchase. There I sat, on my computer chair, sitting in front of my budget monitor that I still don't know how to lower the brightness on. I picked up the phone and went, "Oh damn! A Breguet Homage! Finally! I've been waiting for a good one for years!" and immediately opened the link to the page. I then fumbled like an old man on a near-lethal dose of heroin to click on the buy now button, and a week later this magical thing was mercilessly thrown at my door by the crappy local delivery company. True story. Thankfully, Escapement Time had packaged the item really well, and it arrived in pristine condition, having suffered absolutely no harm. Well, let's get right to it. The dial. The stunning dial on this watch shares its styling with the Breguet Classique, Breguet's entry-level dress watch, and when I say shares, I mean basically copies it. It features a guilloche pattern laid down on the dial with a brushed circumference that displays the hours in neatly printed Roman numerals. Around this brushed circle features another ring denoting the minutes, with a polished round pip at every 5 minutes. At the 12 and 6 o'clock positions, the brand name and reference number of the watch is also featured on a brushed panel in the guilloche section itself, just like on the Breguet Classique. The complexity and cleanliness of the dial is genuinely impressive and is almost as stunning to marvel at as the true engine-turned guilloche dial on the Breguet Classique. The true guilloche pattern on the Breguet is derived from a centuries-old tool called the Rose engine. With the utilization of engine turning by a well-trained dial maker, marvelous patterns can be created that reflect light like no other, with Breguet being one of the best at this century-old technique. Needless to say, however, the dial on the Escapement Time Homage is not an engine-turned dial, but is instead most likely stamped or pressed on by a mold. Even so, under general lighting, the dial still reflects light in a similar way to the actual Breguet, just at a lower intensity. Through a macroscopic lens, however, one can see the dial is still well made and doesn't contain any production burrs and faults whatsoever. The lack of dust on this three-dimensional dial is also a plus. Another great point that I love to point out is the heat-treated blue hands. The hands look as if they can be found on watches that cost upwards of $1,000 to be honest. They have no rough edges, no scratches, and most importantly, no dirt or dust on them. The deep blue color that you get from these hands is also a major plus, usually showing up as a bluish black color, giving it some major contrast with the dial. This makes the whole watch easier to read and also really beautiful to just look at. Besides that, it is also good to know that the process of bluing hands is not easy at all, with just slight differences in temperature causing inconsistencies in color and resulting in a botched hand. This has led to many sub $1,000 watches to make use of coated blue hands, which look significantly uglier in my opinion. The combination of these hands and the pure silver white guilloche dial allows for a great contrast and makes it easier on everyone to see the time. Plus, at certain angles, the guilloche pattern on the dial creates an illusion, warping the hand slightly and making the watch look like a more pompous version of the Rolex Milgauss. Lastly, at a price of just $65, I feel this dress piece is a no-brainer. If you are just beginning your collection, this is a great watch for you. If you just want a stunning dress watch that you don't want to keep winding or care much about, this is a great watch for you. If you are me and just like blued hands and a well-made dial, this is a great watch for you. The value here really cannot be ignored, so make sure to take a look at this wonderful piece of Chinese watchmaking. Anyways, hopefully Escapement Time will take a look at my review and update the watch in the future with a bit more weight on the case. Besides that, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video. Do remember to subscribe, leave a like, and if you have any thoughts about this watch, please leave it in the comments below. If you would like to purchase this watch, I'd suggest you get it fast, as it seems that Escapement Time occasionally runs out of stock. Link in the description. With all that said and done, thank you very much for watching and have a very nice day.